Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Wednesday, the 9th day of April 2025. I hope you're safe and healthy today. I hope your family is safe and healthy and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders who are out here every day trying to save lives, and those also that pick up garbage to keep our places clean. Blessings also upon those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and children that are the victims of child molestation and pedophilia. People that are also victims of prostitution, child prostitution, pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, double curses on the profiteers, and double curses on the perverts that create the demands for these industries. And finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 600,000 men, women, children, families, veterans, senior citizens, homeless in the United States of America. And blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. There was a basketball game last night. The New York Knicks lost in overtime to the Boston Celtics, 117, in what I consider a prelude of what you can expect in a 7-game series. The Boston Celtics played the Knicks for the first time when the Knicks were at their full strength. They had all of their players and everybody was available. Now, Tom Thibodeau went with 8 players. Landry Shamet played 6 minutes. He really went with, aside from the starters, Deuce, Payne, and Mitch Rob. And you can expect that it was a playoff atmosphere because the Celtics did the very same thing. They went with 8 players. Jaylen Brown played 21 minutes, but I think his knee must have been bothering because he sat for most of the second half. Could have also been the grown-ass man on his ass, but he sat for most of the second half. This is a typical situation. Like I said, you can expect this type of game in a 7-game series. I still like our chances against this team. I know we haven't beaten them all year, but again, this is the first time we played them at full strength. What I liked about the game is the Celtics having been together for a while now. This team, the only difference really is KP, and then you want to add Jrue Holiday came, before KP, but not much before. So they had Jrue Holiday, then they got KP, but Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Derek White, they've been there for a minute. Pritchard was drafted by them. Hauser also. So they've had this team together for a while. And why that's important, aside from the continuity, which a lot of people in this nation have no understanding of because they keep talking about trades. But the continuity that they have developed also helps them learn how to execute in the close of a game. It also helps them not to beat themselves. So the Knicks lose this game by 2. I mean, they were down really 114, 119 as the buzzer was sounding, and Jalen Brunson hit a 3. But the Knicks shot 63% from the line, 10 of 16. Celtics shot 80% from the line. See, now that's a difference in the game right there. You cannot beat yourself when they're giving you free throws. You have to hit them, especially in this time. And they all know that. I'm not saying anything the Knicks don't know or anything that they don't see. So, it's no revelation. But the Celtics know not to beat themselves in that scenario. Then, of course, the key player of the game, Karl-Anthony Towns, throws the ball to Mikal Bridges, comes off his shoulders, out of bounds, 12 seconds left, Knicks down 3. That was the ball game. So stuff like that, the Celtics doesn't beat themselves down there. And that's because of their experience together, okay? That's because they've been playing together for a while. They've been in many, many close games like this, and they know how to close it out. So that's something this is why the Knicks being in their first year together are going to learn together how to go through games like this and come out on top. And they will learn that. There's no doubt. Now, the key stats to me, what I liked, again, about the Knicks' effort here is KP and Tatum were on fire, just like they were in the first game we played them in Nightmare where they were raining threes on us. They were doing it again last night, and the Knicks took that punch and was still there. We had Mitchell Robinson, which is why the Knicks out-rebounded them 52-38 and 17 boards on the offensive end. That is what the difference would be with a Mitchell Robinson. Last night, the Knicks only shot 29% from three, while the Celtics shot 39% because Jason Tatum and both KP literally threw up one from the logo and hit it. And then Tatum had, you had both Mikal Bridges and grown-ass man on him, and he was hitting him with them basically draped on him. So, and the thing is, what really, for myself as a guy that really analyzes the game, what I was really impressed with on the Boston side is all of their key players, like Jrue Holiday, Peyton Pritchard, of course, Brown, Tatum, and KP. They know where their spots are on the floor, and they always seem to get the ball and shoot it from their spots. Okay. Derek White loves the left side of the floor at a three-point line, three-quarter on the left side. And he always found himself there and was hitting, even if somebody was on him. Tatum loves to spin toward the baseline, fade, and shoot that shot. It's almost impossible to stop when you get him in that spot. And there was a couple of times where, I knew he was going to go for that spot. Maybe even the defender knew, but sometimes, this is the league. Guys are so good, you could know what they're getting ready to do and still can't do nothing about it. The only real problem I had last night was Cat has this habit, and I don't know if it's part of the defensive scheme, but every time Cat was on the floor with KP, the Celtics would run a pick to get a switch so that Cat was not on KP, and KP had a mismatch. Anybody else on the floor aside from Cat or Mitchell Robinson is a mismatch for Kristaps Porzingis. And so they kept switching, and it didn't even take but one pick. It wasn't even like Cat had to fight. Cat would willingly switch. And that's what was bothering me. Because a lot of the open threes that KP had, Cat was nowhere in the area code. That was the problem I had. Like one time, Derek White is dribbling the ball up the floor, and he's jogging, okay, up the floor. He gets the ball while he jogs up the floor to KP. All this time, Cat still hasn't caught up to even Derek White. KP sits there for a good 2 seconds and has a wide open three, of course, splash. And Cat never got into the area code of KP. That kind of stuff was driving me crazy yesterday. And I was like, stop switching. Because when he was on KP could not hit. Just trying to shoot over Mitch Rob. And of course, over Cat. And when Mitch Rob was on him, Mitch Rob blocked his mess. So that's what I'm saying. So that's the adjustment I would make. I would not. And the second adjustment I would make is Mikal Bridges really has trouble with Jason Tatum, which ain't saying nothing. Jason Tatum is first team All-NBA. He's an MVP candidate, okay? This guy, that makes him one of the 5 best players in the world. Almost impossible to guard, okay? And Mikal was doing the best he could. I don't blame Mikal Bridges. This guy is like I said, one of the 5 best players in the world. So legitimately right now. So that was going to be tough. He did the best he could, but I think OG did a better job on him. OG's physicality bothered Jason Tatum a little bit. Those are the only 2 adjustments I really would make because, like I said, Cat needs to do a better job getting down the floor. Just not even in the vicinity, jogging down the floor. Like I said, offensively, nobody could guard him. And they couldn't last night either. But defensively, all he has to do is stay with his man. That's all he has to do. And he really, because he's so big, if he just stays in front of KP, which anytime he did it, KP couldn't score. Okay, he couldn't because Cat is too daggone big. And then, again, I would have OG. Now, the Celtics are expert at getting the mismatches. Not only do they know where their spots are, all of them know where their spots are, and they get to their spots. It's amazing to watch. And then they're expert at making switches to get certain play like they were doing with KP. The Knicks made it easy. Carolyn Town made it easy because he kept switching at the drop of a hat. He wasn't even fighting through the screen to try to stay with KP. Okay, so that was a problem. And then aside from that, they were getting Jason Tatum with Mikal Bridges on him. And they loved that. And Jason Tatum was killing us. Now, what I like is that even with all of that, the Knicks were right there and, in fact, had a lead at the end of the fourth quarter. So we could play with these guys. That was them at their best. Okay, they were missing Al Horford. Okay, I'll give you that. But listen, that was them at their best right there. And we took their best punch and we was right there. So I have no qualms about the Knicks being able to play with these guys. Last night in the paint, 60-30, the Knicks outplayed them in the paint. So I have no problem with this. We can beat this team in the second round. I ain't worried about it. We could do this, okay? And yes, it looks like we're going to play Detroit in the first round. Detroit lost. Minnesota lost to the Bucks last night. The Bucks have won 5 straight. The Bucks have gotten hot. They got Bobby Portis back. They don't have Dame Dollar. But to me, actually, this is weird, but I think they're a better team because the ball moves better and you unleash Giannis. Especially now you got Bobby Portis coming off your bench, who's now in his prime, and he was always a solid player, but now you really got something. So they've won 5 straight. They got a 2-game lead on Detroit with 3 games left, and guess what? They got the New Orleans Pelicans at home. I think it's tomorrow night. That's done, okay? Because the Pelicans are sitting everybody. Pelicans basically playing their G League and their youngins, so they ain't playing nobody. So Milwaukee's going to clinch the 5th seed. The Knicks need to beat Detroit Thursday to clinch the 3rd seed. Okay, they need 1 win. We're 2 games ahead of Indiana. They need a win against Detroit in Detroit on Thursday. Now, I don't know, but I would play the full contingent. I would play. In other words, what I'm saying is Mitch Robinson's not going to play a back-to-back because you got a back-to-back. You got Cleveland on Friday, and you got Detroit on Thursday. The important game is Detroit. I know we all want to beat Cleveland, but we got to win this Detroit game to make sure we got this solid 3rd seed. So I would bring Mitch Rob to play Detroit, sit him against Cleveland. Okay, for now. Cleveland done clinched the East. If they want to bring their full contingent like Boston did, they might give us a beat down on Friday. It's the second night of a back-to-back and no Mitch Rob. Fine. But they got to do that. The surprise last night was that Precious didn't play. He wasn't on the injured list, and he didn't play. Now, this is one of them situations, Knicks Nation, where I don't like it, but I ain't going to question Tibbs. If that's what he's doing, then that's what he's doing. Okay, I was a little surprised by it myself, that you didn't get Precious in there to help you on that defensive side of the ball. But it's what it is. So I don't know what the situation is going forward, but I looked at that last night as a playoff game. And when you're looking at it like that, you're going to see Mitch Rob, Cameron, Deuce, and a little bit of Shamet thrown in. That's it. Nobody else played for the Knicks. On the Celtics side, you got Hauser, Cornette, Pritchard. That was the 3 guys. They went with 8. And the thing that killed me, it was amazing to me. They put on the screen last night, which is why I had it on mute for at least 95% of the game. I'm listening to my playlist. I'm listening to my 90s hip hop, and I ain't listening to these fools at all. But I'm looking, they put on the screen how many minutes the Knicks starters played. And then I was like, okay, y'all gonna put up how many minutes Boston played? Because like last night, Tatum played 48 minutes. Derek White played 43 minutes. You ain't put that up there, though. And then Drew Holiday played 37 minutes. KP played 39 minutes. Anytime you're playing Kristaps Porzingis more than 30 minutes, you are risking injury. Okay? And so he played 39 minutes. They ain't put that on the screen. No, they put the Knicks starters on the screen. The Menace Police. Okay? It's amazing. But whatever. That's why I ain't listen to them. And so, but like I said, I came away from that game. When they went into overtime, I'm thinking, we could play with these guys. Okay, we might lose the game. I don't know. But we could play with these guys. And like I said, that one miscue by Mikal Bridges, that cost the game. I'm not going to blame Mikal on the loss. Some knucklehead's going to do that. It is a game. It's the whole game that you lose. But To me, I know we could play with that. That for a game to be that close, that one turnover, that's the game. Okay, anybody could win this thing. Okay, so I am not worried about Boston. Let's bring it on. Let's do what we got to do. But first order of business is lock up the third seed, and we need to beat Detroit on Thursday to lock up the third seed. Right now, all the Knicks are healthy. Right now, everybody's healthy. Everybody's ready to play. Jalen Brunson, he's not. Honestly, he wasn't completely himself completely last night. He was getting there. I'd say we got about 85% Brunson. Yeah, right now. I think we got about 85% Brunson. And that might have been a difference in the game too, because there's a couple of times Brunson would normally, I am spoiled watching him kill people, at the close of a game. I mean, after all, he is what they call him, the clutch player of the league. He's going to be. So I'm so spoiled watching him do it to team after team. But last night, a couple of times he came up short. The shot was not off. It was short, which means he's not all the way back yet. He ain't got his time back. And then a couple of times he threw some stupid passes trying to get to Hart, and Hart wasn't expecting the pass. So that is just timing issues and stuff like that. But my saying is he will get over that. And he's going, and the Knicks will be fine. He'll come back. Right, that's all part of him getting back into the flow, which I was talking about yesterday. He's out of the flow, but he scored 27, 10 of 21 from the field, 5 of 12 from 3. I mean, 10 assists, tremendous game. But this is Jalen Brunson we talking about. So that's good, and I'm very hopeful that he'll continue to come back. Like I said, he wasn't 100%. Not that he was hurt, he was rusty. 38 minutes, he still looked good. Josh Hart was a little out of sorts, but his energy level was there. I got to say, them referees, I was thinking this game reminded me of the Celtics coming into MSG. Was like going into cell block 1, and they was about to get abused. But then they brought the refs with them, and the refs helped them out. The way I look at it, the refs helped them out. Hey, we got 16 foul shots. Celtics had 25 foul shots. That's too big of a discrepancy in a game this close. And the referees were doing some stupidness last night. So it is what it is, man. But and I want to tell you, every single time, except maybe twice, that Cat went to the basket, he got fouled. Now, one time when he tried that little fake dunk, KP did not foul him, and they overturned the call. It was the right call. But all of them times when he was on the baseline shooting jump hooks and all that, he was getting fouled, and they weren't calling it. He was getting beat up, and they weren't calling it at all. So, meanwhile, if Tatum had a thumbnail, it was a foul. It is what it is. We're going to have to overcome that. It is what it is. But we weren't quite there. Deuce was still a little off. Deuce's defense was not. He still played tremendous defense, which is what I love about him. And that's the attitude Tibbs has about basketball in general. You may not shoot the ball well, but every single minute you on that floor, you need to bring some defense, which is why I was yelling at the TV every time Karl Anthony Towns was allowing Kristaps Porzingis to go wherever the heck he wanted to go. So that was bothering me. But by the way, did you see the lineup? It was Cat, Mitch Rob, Deuce, Payne, and Shannon. That was the lineup. And they played that lineup, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. You're gonna see more of that. That was a tremendous lineup. Where they was on the floor, they was beating the Celtics. And I was like, that's a good lineup right there. The Twin Towers, I called it the Twin Towers, right, with 3 dwarfs. 3 dwarfs and the Twin Towers. They look good though. And when Mitch Rob and Cat was on the floor together, that boards, that's when they was dominating the boards. Can't play it for 48 minutes, but I like the way it looked. That was really nice. So I think Tibbs is gonna pull that out of his back pocket again as we get into the playoffs. So I like that lineup. So look for that some more. Then he took Payne out, and he took Payne out and he put Brunson in. And so you had Brunson, Deuce, and Shaman. Yeah. The Twin Towers, just this physical size kept Boston from coming in the paint. Okay. So I like that. And I think we're going to see more of it. That was a good, I noticed that last night. I said, okay, that's something we could use going forward. Now, tomorrow night in Detroit, we got to get this dub. We got to get this dub. We got to lock this up, man. Got to lock it up. Nail it down, lock it up. Then whatever happens Friday, as far as I'm concerned, we win this game tomorrow and lock down the third seed. They can play the youngins on Friday. But I just want to make sure we lock down this third seed. And Detroit is hungry. Detroit is struggling a little bit. They've lost, they've been losing some games they needed to win. Let me see. Their last, let me see now. Detroit, let me see here. I know that Milwaukee's hot. Milwaukee's won 5 straight. Detroit is 5-5 in their last 10. They've lost 2 straight. That's right. They lost 2 straight. Not just have they lost 2 straight, they lost 2 straight at home. Okay. Now they locked in the 6th seed. They ain't gonna lose it. But they lost 2 straight at home. They 5-5 in their last 10. They're gonna be desperate for a win going into the playoffs if we come down there to Detroit tomorrow. Especially since obviously this is a first round preview because we're gonna play them in the first round. So it's gonna be on tomorrow night. It's gonna be on, like, for real. It's gonna be on. So the Knicks gotta be ready to play. I'm sure they will be. Yeah, we lost to the Celtics by 2 in OT. We'll take it, for now. But we coming. Like I said, they got the experience. They know what they doing together. They closed it out well. They had the refs on their side. Okay, their 6th man was in stripes. That's all right. We'll be ready. Okay, we want to move on and be ready for the playoffs. Let's get this dub tomorrow. You'll enjoy your Wednesday. So